In this video, I'm about to show you the only 10 tea brands you can still trust and why, as well as 5 that you absolutely shouldn't, starting with number 10, Nestea Iced Tea. Nestea has one of the most recognizable names in the American bottled tea market. The brand has been sitting in gas station, coolers, and grocery store cold cases for decades, and that longevity has done extraordinary trust-building work without the product ever having to earn it on the merits of what is actually inside the bottle. The name says tea. The label shows tea. The color looks like tea. And for a very large portion of the American population that grew up reaching for a Nestea in the summer, it feels like tea. What it actually is, when you check the ingredient panel, is something quite different from what the branding implies. Nestea's powdered and ready-to-drink formulas rely heavily on high-fructose corn syrup as a primary sweetener, a GMO corn-derived compound that nutrition experts have consistently flagged as more metabolically disruptive than regular cane sugar because of the way fructose is processed in the liver, bypassing the satiety signals that regulate normal sugar consumption. Number 9. Lipton Bottled Iced Tea, Lemon. Lipton is the most recognized tea brand in the United States, and that market dominance has been built over more than a century of brand presence, aggressive retail distribution, and consistent marketing. When most Americans think of iced tea, they think of Lipton. That brand recognition is so deep and so automatic that for millions of shoppers, seeing a Lipton bottle in the cooler is the end of the decision-making process. The name functions as a quality signal that stopped being connected to quality verification a long time ago. Lipton Bottled Iced Tea Lemon is one of the most problematic tea products on American shelves when you actually read what is in it. The formula includes high fructose corn syrup as its primary sweetener, sodium hexametaphosphate, a synthetic phosphate additive used as a stabilizer, phosphoric acid, potassium sorbate as a preservative, and acesulfame potassium as an additional artificial sweetener layered on top of the HFCS. That is not a short, clean ingredient list. That is a full synthetic additive stack that would be at home on a processed soda label. Number 8. Snapple All-Natural Lemon Tea. Snapple built its entire brand identity around the words all-natural. That claim was printed directly on the cap of every bottle, and it did decades of marketing work by creating the strong consumer impression that Snapple was different from the other sugary bottled beverages on the shelf, that it was made from honest, clean ingredients that justified its premium price point, and positioned it as a health-conscious choice in the refrigerated beverage aisle. In 2001, the state of New York forced Snapple to remove the all-natural label because the product contained high fructose corn syrup, which regulators determined did not qualify as a natural ingredient. The damage that did to the brand's credibility never quite matched the scale of the brand's continued popularity, and Snapple has largely moved away from HFCS in its current formulations. But the core problem with Snapple all-natural lemon tea in 2025 remains the sugar content. A 1-2 ounce bottle delivers 36 grams of sugar, which is the full recommended daily limit of added sugar for an adult woman, according to the American Heart Association, consumed in a single drink. Number 7, Arizona Iced Tea, Green Tea with Honey. Arizona has mastered one of the greatest value propositions in the American beverage market, the 2-3 ounce can for $1 in distinctive tallboy packaging with the kind of southwestern desert aesthetic that somehow makes every flavor feel vaguely exotic. That price point and that distinctive can have made Arizona one of the most purchased iced tea products in the country. And the green tea with honey variety specifically benefits from an enormous health halo. The words green tea and honey together suggest antioxidants, natural sweetening, and wellness, which is a collection of suggestions that falls apart completely when you actually inspect the label. Arizona green tea with honey is sweetened primarily with high fructose corn syrup, not honey. The honey listed on the label is present in amounts so small relative to the HFCS that it functions as a flavor note rather than as the actual sweetener. Eat this, not that, specifically called out Arizona's green tea with honey for this exact deception, noting that the branding implies a naturally sweetened wellness beverage, while the actual formula is built on HFCS with a trace of honey for the label claim. The sugar per can sits at around 51 grams in a standard 2-3 ounce serving, more than most candy bars, packed into a drink that is being marketed on the premise of green tea's health benefits. Number 6. Gold Peak Sweet Tea. Gold Peak is Coca-Cola's answer to the premium brewed iced tea category. The brand specifically markets itself on the idea of real brewed tea, positioning it against tea from concentrate, tea from powder competitors as the more authentic, more honest choice. That real brewed promise is technically accurate. Gold Peak does use brewed tea concentrate as its base. The problem is that what happens to that brewed tea base after it gets into the bottle is the part of the story that the real brewed marketing would prefer you not think too much about. Gold Peak Sweet Tea earned the title of Worst Iced Tea Brand for sugar content in Eat This. Not. That's comprehensive analysis. Their extra sweet variety delivers 68 grams of sugar in an 18 5-ounce bottle, which is more sugar per serving than Mountain Dew. 12 teaspoons of sugar in a single bottle of something that is being sold as tea. Even the slightly sweet variety comes in at 24 grams of sugar per full bottle. Number 5. Crystal Light Sweet Tea. Crystal Light has occupied an interesting position in the American beverage market for decades. It promises the flavor experience of a sweetened drink with none of the calories, and for consumers who want the sensation of sweetened iced tea without the sugar impact, it has presented itself as the intelligent compromise, the middle path between full sugar and plain water. What Crystal Light Sweet Tea actually delivers, when you look at the ingredient panel carefully, is a 3 artificial sweetener stack combined with 3 different artificial food dyes, and that combination is precisely what every health authority that recommends limiting artificial additive consumption has been warning about for years. Ochsner Health's nutrition team directly named Crystal Light Sweet Tea as a product to avoid flagging its formula for containing sucralose, aspartame, and acesulfame potassium, 3 separate artificial sweeteners used together in a single product. Aspartame received a classification from the World Health Organization in 2023 as a possible carcinogen. Acesulfame potassium has been linked in animal studies to gut microbiome disruption. Research from North Carolina State University found that sucralose can damage the cell lining of the gut wall, potentially resulting in increased intestinal permeability. Number 4. Tetley Tea Bags. Tetley is one of the largest tea bag brands sold in the United States and holds the position of the 3rd largest tea bag brand globally. That scale of distribution means that Tetley is often the most visible, most available, and most price-competitive option on the shelf wherever tea bags are sold. Availability at scale and quality at scale are 2 entirely different things, and in Tetley's case, the scale of distribution has been achieved at a direct cost to the quality of what ends up in the bag and then in your cup. Ochsner Health's nutrition specialists explicitly named Tetley among the mass-produced brands whose tea bags have been flagged for containing dangerous pesticide and herbicide residues, a finding consistent with the broader, independent testing of high-volume commercial tea producers that source leaves from regions with permissive pesticide regulations. Number 3. Twinings Tea, Standard Line. Twinings carries more than 300 years of tea heritage and a royal warrant. The brand can trace its continuous operation back to 1706, making it one of the oldest continuously operating companies in the world. And that historical credential is the foundation of enormous consumer trust that is displayed prominently in every piece of brand communication Twinings produces. 3 centuries of tea expertise sounds like a compelling quality guarantee. The standard, non-organic Twinings product line raises questions that the Royal Warrant does not answer. Gimme the Good Stuff's independent 2026 review of tea brand toxin content specifically flagged Twinings tea bags for containing polypropylene, a petroleum-derived plastic used in the sealing of their paper bags that leaches plastic compounds into your brew when exposed to boiling water, which exceeds polypropylene's leaching threshold by a significant margin. Ochsner Health also named Twinings among the mass-produced brands flagged for pesticide and herbicide residue concerns in their standard product lines. It is important to note that Twinings does offer an organic line that independent reviewers have assessed more favorably. Tea Brand's analysis found the organic and fair trade Twinings lines to be considerably cleaner than the standard products. Number 2, Celestial Seasonings, conventional line. Celestial Seasonings has one of the most carefully cultivated wellness brand identities in the American tea market. The bear logo, the inspirational quotes on the box, the herbal blend positioning, and the decades of natural, nature forward branding have made Celestial Seasonings synonymous in the minds of a significant portion of American consumers with the idea of clean, wholesome tea that is better for you than the mass market alternatives. That identity was built painstakingly over 50 years of consistent marketing. What Mammovation's independent laboratory testing found inside the box created a significant problem for it. Celestial Seasonings was specifically identified by Auctioner health nutrition experts as containing polypropylene in their tea bags, the same plastic sealing material flagged in Twinings, which means that every cup brewed with a standard Celestial Seasonings bag involves exposing your tea to petroleum-derived plastic compounds at brewing temperature. Number 1. Joe Tea Sweet Tea. Joe Tea takes the number 1 spot on this avoid list because it achieves something that even the most aggressively sweetened products on this list could not quite manage. It tops the sugar content rankings and tasting tables. Comprehensive November 2024 blind evaluation of 9 major sweet tea brands, delivering 64 grams of sugar in a single 20-ounce bottle. That is 64 grams. The American Heart Association recommends a maximum of 36 grams of added sugar per day for men and 25 grams per day for women. A single bottle of Joe Tea contains between 1.7 and 2.5 times the total recommended daily maximum, consumed in one sitting from one bottle. Tasting Tables reviewer found the experience of drinking Joe Tea's sweet tea so dominated by sugar that it stopped tasting like tea altogether. The description given was that it resembled a heavily concentrated juice, rather than any recognizable sweet tea, with the cloying sweetness completely erasing whatever tea base might have existed underneath it. Number 5. Pure Leaf Unsweetened Real Brewed Tea. Pure Leaf earns its place on the good side of this list through a combination of genuine product transparency, verified real brewed sourcing, and a clean ingredient profile that holds up to actual scrutiny rather than just sounding good on a label. The brand is technically a PepsiCo product, which surprises many consumers who assume that large beverage corporations are categorically incapable of producing a clean tea product. But the Pure Leaf Unsweetened line operates on a different standard than the sweetened versions, and that standard is what puts it here. The Pure Leaf Unsweetened Real Brewed Tea contains no artificial ingredients, no artificial sweeteners, and no added sugar. The full ingredient list is real brewed black tea and filtered water. That is it. Mashed's 3-3 brand iced tea evaluation confirmed that Pure Leaf delivers authentic brewed tea flavor without any of the powders, concentrates, or synthetic additive stacks that most mass market competitors rely on. And the brand earned the top seller position on Amazon for bottled iced tea, with over 16,000 consumer reviews backing the real brewed claim. Consumer Trebi's commonly cited review summarizes the experience as pure joy and specifically highlights that it is not a mix or reconstituted like other brands, which is exactly the product differentiation that justifies recommending it. Number 4. Harney & Sons. Harney & Sons was founded in 1983 by John Harney, who spent years mastering tea blending in his Connecticut basement before turning his passion into a family business that has remained family-operated for over 4 decades. That origin story is not marketing mythology. The Harney family name appears throughout the employee roster to this day, and the founder's personal commitment to sourcing quality leaves from quality origins is embedded in the company's operating standards in ways that are genuinely verifiable rather than merely claimed. Mammovation's independent PFAS and pesticide testing in 2024 and 2025 found Harney & Sons Earl Grey flavored black tea at below minimum reporting levels for PFAS compounds in both the tea leaves and the tea bag. Materials, meaning the product tested clean for these forever chemical contaminants in both the actual tea and the packaging that holds it during brewing. Mashed's comprehensive iced tea ranking described Harney & Sons as clean, high quality, and delicious across their product line, noting that the brand produces teas in loose leaf, bagged, and bottled form without compromising the quality standard across formats. Number 3. Rishi Tea and Botanicals. Rishi Tea and Botanicals occupies a specific and important position in the American tea market. It sits at the intersection of genuine sourcing expertise, certified organic commitment, and fair trade standards, in a way that most of the major brands on either side of this list have never genuinely attempted. Founded in Milwaukee in 1997 by Joshua Kaiser, after he spent time studying tea culture in China and Taiwan, Rishi built its sourcing model around direct relationships with tea gardens in origin countries rather than purchasing commodity tea through brokers, which is the standard mass-market sourcing approach. Mammovation's PFAS testing specifically listed Rishi tea and botanicals in their recommended tier. Their loose-leaf jasmine organic scented green tea Sencha returned non-detect results for PFAS compounds, which places it among the cleanest tested teas in the evaluation. Oxner Health lists Rishi among the recommended loose-leaf tea brands for their organic certification, responsible sourcing, and ingredient transparency. Number 2. Ito and Oi Ocha Green Tea. Ito-en is Japan's #1 green tea brand, and the Oi Ocha ready-to-drink green tea they sell in the United States represents something that almost no other mass-market bottled tea in the American market manages to deliver: an authentic, minimally processed, zero added sugar tea product that actually tastes like the real thing rather than like a sweetened approximation of it. That distinction sounds simple. In practice, it is extraordinarily rare in the US bottled tea category. The Oi Ocha ingredient list contains 2 items, green tea and water. That is the complete formula. No natural flavors, no preservatives, no citric acid, no stabilizers, no color additives, and obviously no sugar or artificial sweeteners. The flavor result is what multiple independent evaluators have described as genuinely surprising for a bottled green tea: clean, vibrant, and authentically sencha-like rather than the flat, slightly stale green tea flavor that American consumers have come to expect from the bottled tea category. Mashed's ranking placed Ito-en among the top tier of all 33 brands evaluated, with their unsweetened green tea accumulating over 9,000 Amazon reviews at an 86% 5-star rating. Number 1. Tejava Original Black Iced Tea. Tejava takes the top position on this list for the same reason that Optimum Nutrition earned the top spot in the protein powder category and Stumptown earned the top spot in cold brew. It is the product that, across every independent evaluation, every consumer review compilation, and every head-to-head comparison, consistently produces the same result. The best independently verified unsweetened black iced tea available at retail in the United States, without exception, at any price point. Tejava is brewed from hand-picked tea leaves sourced from Java, Indonesia, and the product contains exactly one ingredient beyond the leaves: water. The formula has no additives, no preservatives, no natural flavors, no color enhancements, and obviously no sweeteners of any kind. Flavor 365's comprehensive 2025 analysis named Tejava as the benchmark for what a pure, unsweetened black tea should be: bold, smooth, and never bitter, which is the specific flavor profile that makes cold brewed black tea worth drinking black without any additions.